He used to boil girls in rose water to make an extraordinary perfume. Day after day, a corpse was found in some alley or street corner, completely naked with their hair cut. The entire city was in terror. Every possible effort was made to catch him, but he still didn't stop. This time his target was a beautiful woman, the daughter of the richest family in Paris. Getting to her was as difficult as solving an unsolved mystery. But in that very pursuit, he was caught. In front of all the city's inhabitants, he was sentenced to be hanged 2 days later. The order was that he would be left hanging until he breathed his last. Hearing this, waves of joy ran through the people of the city. That beast's name was Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, whom God had given not just a nose, but a special blessing. Such a powerful sense of smell that he could recognize scents that were invisible to the rest of the world. From here, the story goes back to his childhood. Grenouille's mother worked in a fish market. One day, she suddenly felt pain, and Grenouille was born right there. Immediately after birth, the mother kicked the child. Before this, she had also killed 4 other newborns. She thought Grenouille was also dead, but then, smelling the market's filth, he cried loudly. The mother got scared and immediately ran away. People had seen everything and a commotion broke out. She tried to kill her baby. Murderer. She was caught and immediately hanged. Grenouille was legally sent to an orphanage. The woman in charge was Madame Gallard, a middle-aged woman who had no space for more children, but couldn't go against the government either. Somehow, she managed to fit Grenouille on some boy's bed. But now the question was about those boys who slept on that same bed. There wasn't even space to stretch their legs. That's why the other children conspired among themselves and tried to kill Grenouille. But Madame Gallard found out about it, and once again, Grenouille's life was saved. Those orphan children were Madame Gallard's main source of income. She made them work all day. Before you knew it, 5 years had passed. But despite being 5 years old, Grenouille couldn't speak a single word. On top of that, his behavior was also strange. He would smell everything as if it were candy. Over time, this ability of his grew. Now, he could identify scents from far away with his eyes closed. He could tell where a stone was, where a frog was, everything. In a few years, he even learned to speak. When he turned 13, Madame Gallard had no room for him anymore. Forced, she sold Grenouille to a leather trader. Meanwhile, some robbers had already been eyeing Gallard. When she was returning with the money, they attacked her and killed her and took the money. Grenouille was sent to work in a tannery. Back then, at leather-making factories, the average human lifespan was just 5 years. The environment there was filled with chemicals, foul water, and filth. Most people died within a few years. One day, his master took him to the city for business, and for the first time, Grenouille realized that the city was filled with countless fragrances. The air had thousands of different scents, flowers, spices, perfumes, humans. Then his nose caught a scent like he'd never felt before. His master had a deal to make with a merchant next to a perfume shop. While he was busy with work, Grenouille followed the scents to the perfume shop. He saw people buying different kinds of perfumes. At that moment, the shopkeeper offered a new perfume to a lady. She was enchanted by its fragrance and said, "Sir, you are truly a wonderful artist." Then Grenouille caught a scent far more captivating than that perfume. A young girl's. She was selling fruit. Her scent drove him mad. He got very close to her. The girl asked in surprise, "Do you want to buy fruit?" But Grenouille remained silent. He just stared at her intensely. The girl extended her hand to give him fruit, but instead of taking it, he grabbed her hands and started smelling them. The girl got scared, pulled her hand away, and ran. Grenouille followed her and, chasing her scent, finally reached her house. He sneaked inside. The girl was alone. When she turned around, she got scared and screamed loudly. Grenouille covered her mouth. Then a couple passed nearby. While they were around, Grenouille kept her mouth covered. As a result, she died from suffocation. Grenouille was deeply regretful because he didn't want to kill the girl. But even after her death, that rare fragrance was still coming from her skin. He undressed her and thoroughly savored every part of her body scent. This was his first kill. When he returned at night, his master beat him badly. "If you disappear like this again without telling me, I'll kill you." That night, he couldn't sleep. Not because he was beaten, but because the girl's scent had shown him a clear path. He had understood why he was born. He was born to capture the world's most beautiful fragrance and imprison it forever. In those days, there were about a dozen perfumers in Paris. One of them was an Italian perfumer named Giuseppe Baldini, whose shop was right in the middle of a bridge called Pont au Change. 3 years ago, he was the king of this trade. But because new perfumers were coming into the market, Baldini's shop had become deserted. Recently, a new perfume had created a buzz in Paris. The same perfume we saw earlier. Everyone was obsessed with it. Baldini also examined its fragrance. It was a mixture of lemon oil, clove juice, and who knows what other elements. He tried many times to replicate it but failed repeatedly. Exhausted, he fell asleep there. Then there was a knock on the door. It was Grenouille, who had brought goat leather for an order. Baldini opened the door and asked him to come in. Grenouille came inside, but his eyes were on everything. He went around smelling every bottle, every vial, every oil one by one. Baldini checked the leather and, satisfied, said, "Okay, but I won't pay you now. I'll give it to you in a few days." Then Grenouille asked calmly, "Are you thinking of making a perfume from this leather scent?" Baldini looked at him in surprise and nodded. Grenouille said, "If you allow me, I can make a perfume from the things here." Baldini laughed. You know how to make perfume." Grenouille didn't answer. He just started lifting scents from the vials using his nose. He didn't use any recipe or formula. He just mixed the elements one after another using his sense of smell. After some time, what he created was a fragrance so unexpected and marvelous that Baldini stood speechless for a moment. That perfume was better than any creation in his entire career. Baldini immediately decided he couldn't lose this boy. He paid a large sum and bought Grenouille. But look at fate's play. The very next moment, his old master died in a strange accident. It was as if anyone Grenouille left, his life ended there. Anyway, for now, the decision to buy Grenouille proved absolutely right. The two of them together began making all sorts of fragrant perfumes that became quite famous. So much so that Baldini's lost glory also returned. One day, in happiness, Baldini told Grenouille that making a perfume requires a total of 12 notes divided into 3 parts. The first is the head chord, meaning the first impression of the perfume that lasts a few minutes. The second is the heart chord, meaning the perfume's theme or true identity. And finally, there's the base chord, which is the soul of the perfume that maintains its fragrance for many days. Baldini further said, "The ancient Egyptians believed that if someone could create a 13th note after these 12 notes, a perfume made from the mixture of these 13 would be such that upon smelling it, a person would lose their senses. They would feel as if they had received all the world's happiness, as if they were in heaven." This wasn't just empty talk. It's said that such a perfume was found in a pharaoh's tomb, and those who smelled it truly experienced heavenly sensations. But unfortunately, no one has ever created that 13th note yet. Then Grenouille said, "Master, I will create that 13th note. Just teach me how to preserve the fragrance of anything." Baldini said nothing. Now Grenouille was troubled because at night he would have dreams of that first girl, and he would go mad for her fragrance. Finally, he made a deal with his master and said, "I'll make as many perfumes as you want. Just teach me once how to capture and preserve fragrance." He had such a hunger to learn that Baldini had to teach him. Grenouille learned how to capture the fragrance of a rose flower. Then he started trying to capture the fragrances of different things using the same process. But after repeated failures, one day he got frustrated and started throwing things around. Then his theft was discovered. When Baldini arrived, he said angrily, "You lied to me." He tried smelling some samples: lead, iron, copper, but none of their fragrances were captured. Baldini was amazed at what kind of person researches capturing the scent of metals. Then he saw a cat in a boiling pot and got furious. Grenouille stood stunned, listening to his scolding, and suddenly lost consciousness and collapsed. A doctor was called. He said that this was all a result of working long-term in a tannery, a leather factory. His body had slowly filled with poison, and now he was dying. Baldini became afraid because if Grenouille died, his entire business would be ruined again. Then Grenouille regained consciousness. The question was still on his lips. Is there another way to capture the fragrance of anything? Baldini said, "Such a method exists, but I don't know it. It's only taught in a place called Grasse." Slowly, Grenouille recovered, but to reach Grasse and work there, he needed identity papers. Baldini promised to give him all of this. In return, Grenouille gave him thousands of formulas for different kinds of perfumes. Baldini was extremely happy and sent him off. He felt he now had the key to success. But fate had other plans. That very night, his building collapsed, and Baldini was crushed under the rubble and died. Meanwhile, Grenouille, after traveling for some time, reached a cave in the mountains. He had gone to rest for one night, but ended up staying, because other than his clothes, there was no trace of any external fragrance. No human, no animal, no tree, no soil, nothing. Even the stones seemed inanimate. In that silence, he felt peace for the first time. But then he realized that his own body emitted no fragrance. He bathed, washed, checked many times, but nothing. As if he was devoid of the very essence of fragrance. Why? The answer was perhaps in Grasse, and that's why he began his journey once again. towards that city where fragrance was made eternal. When he reached near the city of Grasse, he saw a carriage with a beautiful woman inside. Her fragrance made every fiber of his being bloom. Then what? He followed that carriage and reached Grasse. At the gate, just by showing documents, he was allowed entry into the city. Following that beautiful woman's scent, he reached her house. He was experiencing her every moment as she went about her day. He spent the night there, and as soon as an opportunity came, he climbed the wall and entered the house. Then he saw her on the balcony. She had brought flowers to place at her mother's memorial. Then her father called her, and that's when Grenouille learned the beautiful woman's name. Her name was Laura. Anyway, in this city lived a young boy and girl, between whom love had just started to bloom. Even while harvesting flowers, they would bicker with each other. After harvesting, the flowers were sent to scent-making companies. Grenouille was hired at one such company. With his skills, within just a few days, he caught the attention of the company's owner, Madame Anolfi. Madame Anolfi's supervisor started resenting him. He would constantly bother him. Now at night, we see those young lovers from the fields who had found an excuse to meet alone. The boy was eager, but the girl started playing hard to get, and to tease him, she climbed onto the roof. Then she playfully pushed the boy down along with the ladder. The boy got angry and locked the girl in the room and left. Now the girl, distressed, screamed, and then someone put a ladder on the roof for her. But it wasn't her boyfriend. The next day, that girl's corpse was found in a glass tank where flowers were boiled to extract their fragrance. The matter was set. The process of extracting the scent from her body had begun. Then, hearing someone approaching, Grenouille covered the tank with a sack. Outside, a worker had arrived with fragrant flowers. Meanwhile, the worker felt a curiosity to know how scent was made from these flowers. She went inside to see, and Grenouille's heart started racing. He immediately stopped her from touching anything. Just then, Madame Anolfi also arrived. Seeing the boiler covered, she asked questions. Grenouille said he was experimenting to create a new fragrance. The supervisor smelled the water to check, but felt no odor. He said, "Your experiment has failed. Don't waste time." But Grenouille wasn't going to stop. He hired a prostitute. He had brought some animal fat with him. Seeing the fat, the woman became concerned about what he was going to do. Grenouille told her he was a perfume maker and needed the fragrance of her body for his perfume. The woman agreed. Meanwhile, the woman's dog was also watching all this. Everything was going smoothly, but as soon as the woman saw a knife in Grenouille's hand, she panicked. Grenouille laid that girl down right there. Then, very carefully, he cut all her hair and covered her body with a thick layer of fat, wrapping her in cloth so that within hours, the woman's body's fragrance would seep into the fat. This process was long and exhausting, but Grenouille carried it out with complete determination. Hours later, he scraped the fat together and took it to his workplace, the company. There, he mixed the fat with the woman's hair. Then he boiled it, strained it, and filtered it several times until the fragrance came out in completely pure form. On the other side, news of the woman's death had spread throughout the city, but no one had any idea what really happened to her. Then something strange happened. As soon as the woman's pet dog smelled his owner's scent, it went straight to Grenouille. Now, everything was clear. Grenouille had captured the fragrance of the woman's body in the form of a perfume. This was his first step towards success, but he wasn't going to stop here. Now he needed 12 more fragrances. 12 notes that could come together to form his 13th code. Laura's birthday was the next night. There was celebration and crowds everywhere. Grenouille was also present, searching for his next victim. When the candles were blown out, the girls started a game of hide and seek. In this game, the boys had to find the girls. At that same place, there was a small maze where Laura and her friends hid. Seeing the opportunity, Grenouille followed Laura. Slowly, precisely, exactly like a hunter. But fortune was with Laura that night. She escaped. By the time the game ended, Grenouille had already left. But when everyone came outside, a silence fell. 2 virgin girls had mysteriously disappeared from inside the maze. By now, Grenouille had already started the process of extracting the fragrance of those 2 girls. The entire maze was searched, but they were nowhere to be found. The next morning, their bodies were found in the water under a bridge. Hair cut, bodies naked. Terror spread throughout the city. There were demands in court to impose curfew, so the beast couldn't escape the city. But some businessmen started protesting. They said that a curfew would halt business. The judge also shook his head and said, the whole city will go bankrupt. Laura's father tried his best to convince them, but no one listened. And as a result, just a few days later, another virgin girl disappeared. Then, the very next day, a shepherd girl's corpse was found in a field. Her hair had also been cut and her body left bare. By now, 4 girls had been killed. Only then did the administration wake up. Curfew was imposed on the city. Police were stationed in every street and neighborhood, but the murders didn't stop. Grenouille kept capturing fragrances one after another. He had now created 5 notes notes from the fragrances of 5 different girls. Then the 6th girl also became his victim. Terror in the city was at its peak. Police were helpless. They had no clues, no witnesses. Meanwhile, a 7th girl also disappeared. By this time, Laura's father had realized that this killer was no ordinary person. He noticed that all the girls who were targeted were virgins and extraordinarily beautiful. That meant the killer was taking something from their beauty, whether it was their hair, their skin, or something else. He had now come to a completely different conclusion. The city's prominent people were discussing this when another news came. A 9th girl had also disappeared. Now the air of Grasse contained only one thing, the smell of fear. If any young boy tried to hover around any girl, the girls would beat him without thinking, turning him into a pulp. The next day, news came that a 10th girl had also disappeared. Now people started closing the windows, doors, and even small openings through which light entered their houses. A man had gathered wood to block his windows. Then the 10th girl's corpse was found in that pile of wood. Within just a few days, an 11th girl also disappeared. By now, Grenouille had created 11 notes. His 13th perfume was almost complete. He just needed 2 more fragrances. But his terror in the city had spread so much that people, out of fear, would suspect anyone and shoot without thinking twice. Grasse had become less like a city and more like a closed prison, where every person felt like they might be next. It got worse when a nun's body was found inside a church. This murder was more horrifying than all the others because now even sacred places weren't safe. Meanwhile, Grenouille needed just one last victim to complete his 13th note. And then a miracle happened. News spread that the killer had been caught. Everyone was shocked when it was revealed that he had surrendered himself and confessed to all his crimes. It was like a festival had returned to the city. All night, people danced and sang in the streets. Celebrations went on for hours. But Laura's father's heart still wasn't convinced. He was haunted by a fear that something bad might happen. He thought, what if the one who surrendered isn't the real killer? That night, he barely managed to close his eyes. But then he had a terrible nightmare. Frightened, he ran to Laura's room. She was alive, but the window was open. Laura said she hadn't opened that window. Hearing this, his worst fears came true. Without wasting a moment, he decided they would leave the city at dawn. The very next day, they left with Laura towards a secret location. But Grenouille's nose recognized Laura's fragrance. He began following the scent. Meanwhile, another revelation occurred in the city. The prostitute's dog had started digging in the dirt. When police arrived, they found clothes and hair of several girls buried underground. Everything became clear. The real killer is Grenouille. By the time the investigation was complete, Grenouille had reached the location of his last victim. Laura's father chose a secure room for her and locked her inside. He kept thinking that now she was completely safe, but he made a big mistake. He left the key on the table. At midnight, when everyone was in deep sleep, Grenouille sneaked inside. He picked up the key, opened the door, and did what he came to do. Then he disappeared without a trace. When Laura's father opened the door in the morning, his scream echoed through the entire house. Laura lay dead on the bed. He immediately sent his men, "Find that beast. Find him from anywhere." Meanwhile, Grenouille had by now created the 13th note. When he mixed all 12 notes and added the 13th, his perfect perfume was created. But at that very moment, Laura's father's men reached his hideout. He was caught. When he was harshly asked why he killed Laura, his only answer was, "I needed her." And no matter how many times he was asked, he repeated the same thing in the same calm voice. The story now returns to the day Grenouille was to be hanged. The atmosphere in the city was like a festival. Crowds on the streets, people on roofs. Everyone was eager to see that notorious killer die. Meanwhile, everything was arranged inside the prison. The jailer came to get him, and then Grenouille saw his opportunity. He opened his vial of perfume. As soon as its fragrance spread into the air, magic filled the entire atmosphere. That scent took away everyone's senses. The jailer, soldiers, everyone froze. When Grenouille was taken to the execution platform, the executioner fell to his knees in front of him. But this wasn't the end. As Grenouille waved the fragrance of the perfume into the air, the crowd went mad. The scene there was nothing short of heavenly. Some called him an angel, some the angel of love. People started hugging each other. Every face showed a mixture of love and desire. People who hated each other now openly expressed their love without hesitation. There was no restriction, no shame, just an ocean of desire overflowing. Even the church priest couldn't control himself. Everyone had accepted that he wasn't a human, but an incarnation of God. At that very moment, sadness covered his face. He realized that even after doing all this, he hadn't awakened the feeling of love in himself. He remembered that first girl, the one who made him feel love for the first time. He cried thinking if he hadn't accidentally killed her, maybe today she would be with him. Just then, Laura's father charged through the crowd with a sword. "You can deceive everyone else, but not me." Grenouille surrendered, saying, "Kill me. I'm not worthy of anyone's love." But as soon as he got close, that fragrance entered him. His eyes softened, his sword fell, and the next moment he said, "Son, you are my son." Grenouille stood quietly, as if he knew that even in victory, he had lost everything. A few hours later, when the effects of that magical perfume wore off, people were shocked to see each other in compromising situations. No one remembered anything. Just shame and silence covered the entire city. The town council immediately decided to restart the investigation into the matter. This time, suspicion fell on Grenouille's supervisor. He was caught and tortured for 14 continuous hours. Finally, he confessed everything. "Yes, I committed the murders." The very next moment, he was hanged and the matter was closed. But the real killer, Grenouille, had by then made it halfway to Paris. He still had enough perfume that if he wanted, he could enslave half the world with his magic. He could have gotten wealth, fame, and power. But inside him, there was still emptiness. He had gotten everything except the feeling of love that he had set out to find. He had won but lost, and now this loss was breaking him from within. That's why he returned to his birthplace, Paris. In the darkness of night, he reached the place where he was born. In streets filled with filth, stench, and putrefaction, he poured his entire vial of perfume over himself. And then what had to happen, happened. The beggars, thugs, and hungry people there fell upon him. Within moments, they tore him apart. So friends, this was the story of Perfume from 2006. A story of a man who made fragrance eternal but couldn't awaken the fragrance of love within himself. If you like this story, please like and comment for our effort.